Hey guys, today we're talking about algebraic expressions. Let's talk about a variable first. It's a symbol to represent an unknown. So in an algebraic expression, we have a variable, for example, n, and an operation like plus 2. So in this case, we're adding 2 to some unknown quantity. So the difference is with a numerical expression, it has only numbers. While an algebraic expression has variables and numbers, both of them, though, contain an operation. For example, 3 plus 2, while this one is your, can't bring that over, n plus 2. So math involves expressions with variables, and this is when we call it algebra. In algebra, a multiplication sign is often omitted. So if you look here, if I have 6 times d, this is really like saying I have 6 unknowns and I'm multiplying them. Same thing here. I have 9 and I'm multiplying that times s and times t. M times n, and then this one is a power, so it's a times itself 3 times, or a times a times a. We can also represent this 6 times d with a 6 in front of it, and we call this 6 the coefficient. Please write that down in your notebook. Okay, you might want to jot some of these notes down anyway, but this is like saying I have 6 D's, or I have 6 apples, or I have 9 S's times T. Okay, so we can also write expressions like y divided by 2 as y divided by 2 or y times 1/2. Okay, make sure you write that one down as well. So if you see it as a fraction, this y over 2, it's y divided by 2 or y times 1/2. Okay, so we can evaluate if we know what the variable is. For example, in this case, we know n is a -4. So, just like the Glade commercial, you plug it in, and it'll look something like this. Then we use orders of operations to solve. So if you need to go back and rewatch order of operations, make sure you do so. When I add these, I get -1, and then I multiply it by 2, so I get -2. Okay, go ahead and try these down here, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, grab your red pen. You should have first plugged them in, and since multiplication comes before subtraction, I multiply these and bring down the minus sign. 40 minus 6 is 34. Okay, in this one, I'm taking 4 times 3 to the 3rd power, so plug it in. I know 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, and I'm multiplying 4 times 27 and then adding 2. I get 108, then I add 2 and I get 110. Okay, let's look at some real-world situations where we might have to plug things in. For example, a trainer uses this formula where A represents the age of the person to find their minimum training heart rate. So if we have a 15-year-old, then we're going to plug in 15. Okay, so order of operations tells us to do this step first. So then I'm going to take my 205 that I got up there, multiply it by 3, and I get 615. Divide that by 5, and I get 123. So the heart rate would be 123. Okay, let's look at another one. I want you to try this one. To find the area of a triangle, use the formula, the base times the height, where b is the base, h is the height, and you're dividing it by 2. What is the area in square inches? So this is the formula. Find area by plugging in the height is 6 and the base is 8. I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, so when you plug it in, this is what it looks like. So when I multiply, I get 48, and divided by 2 is 24. So the area is 24 inches, and these just happen to be squared inches because you're taking inches times inches. But we'll get to that in a later video. Okay, on this slide, I need you to copy down this chart for me, okay? All of these words represent addition. All of these words represent subtraction, these multiplication, and these division. So when you define a variable, you choose it to represent your unknown quantity, and then you're going to figure out what operation based on these words you're using and do it. For example, okay, I'm going to get into the examples, so make sure you wrote this down. The sum of a number and 9. So sum means add, number means some sort of variable, I use n, and 9. So I'm adding a number and 9, which looks like this. You try this one, the difference of a number and 21. Okay, what does difference mean? Good, subtract. A number would be n, and 21 would be written like this. So I'm taking the difference between n and 21, n minus 21. The product of 6 and a number. So what does product mean? Look it up on your chart. Good, it means multiplication. So 6 times a number, or 6n. We don't write it 6n like this because this looks like a variable too. So remember, we write it with the coefficient of 6 times your variable n. Quotient means to divide of a number 48 and an unknown number. So I'm taking the quotient of 48 and I'm dividing by n. Okay? 1/3 of a number would be represented like this. Of means to multiply, and a number. So if we're using multiplication, we just merge them together. So it looks like this, 1/3 n. Okay, so if we have a situation like Marissa wanting to buy a DVD player that costs $150 and she's already saved $25 and she plans to save an additional $10 a week, then we know she's got 25. We're adding that to the amount that she's planning on saving, which is $10 per week. But since we don't know the number of weeks, we represent it with a W. So 25 plus 10, W, represents the amount that she's saving for any kind of weeks. So if she's saving for 2 weeks, we plug in 2. 20 plus 25, 45. If she's saving for 5 weeks, 50, because 5 times 10 is 50 plus 25 is 75. So she has $75. So if she wants to buy a DVD player that costs $150, we can work backwards. We know that means she already has $25. So she really has $125 that she needs, right? And we can figure out from there how many weeks she needs to save. Okay, let's look at the next one. Leah already has read 20 pages of her book. She plans to read 5 pages each day from now on. Write an expression to represent the total number of pages she will have read in D days. So they're telling you what variable to use. Go ahead and try this one, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, so I know Leah has 20 pages. She's reading an additional 5 pages per day. You can write it like this or like this. Okay, last one. Try this one. Whoops, try it now. Okay, an MP3 player costs $70 and songs cost 85 cents. Write an expression that represents the cost using X number of downloads. Okay, so do that first, write your expression, then figure out the cost for 20 songs. All right, grab your red pen. I'm going to show you what I did. It's $70 for the MP3 player, and then an additional 85 cents per song download, which they told us to represent with X. So this is my expression. Now I'm going to plug in 20 for my X, and 85 hundredths times 20 is $17, plus the cost of my MP3 player, which is $87. And that's all I have for you today. See you next time.